What is FMLA and who qualifies for it? Imagine this. You or a loved one suddenly faces a serious health issue, or you're welcoming a new baby into your family. You need time away from work, but the thought of losing your job or your health insurance feels terrifying. That's where the Family and Medical Leave Act, or FMLA, comes in. The FMLA is a federal law that gives certain employees the right to take job-protected unpaid leave for specific family or medical reasons. It's one of the most important protections for American workers, but many people don't fully understand who qualifies and what rights it actually gives. In this video, I'll explain exactly what FMLA is, who it covers, how long you can take leave, and what protections you have when you come back to work. Let's start with the basics. What the law actually says. What is the FMLA? The Family and Medical Leave Act, FMLA, was signed into law in 1993 and is codified at 29 U.S.C. Section 2601 ETSEQ. Its purpose is simple: to help workers balance their jobs with family and medical needs without the fear of being fired or losing health coverage. Here's the key. FMLA provides up to 12 weeks of unpaid job-protected leave in a 12-month period for certain family and medical reasons. During that leave, your employer must maintain your group health insurance coverage as if you were still actively working. So, what situations qualify? According to the law, employees can use FMLA leave for their own serious health condition that makes them unable to perform their job, the birth of a child, or to care for a newborn, adoption or foster care placement of a child, caring for a spouse, child, or parent with a serious health condition. Certain military-related needs, such as caring for a covered service member with a serious injury or illness. The term serious health condition doesn't mean a minor cold or flu. It usually refers to conditions that involve inpatient care, ongoing treatment by a healthcare provider, or chronic conditions that require periodic care. For example, surgery, cancer treatment, diabetes management, or recovery from childbirth all qualify. Importantly, FMLA leave is unpaid. However, many workers use their paid sick leave, vacation time, or PTO to cover some or all of the FMLA period. Employers can require you to substitute paid leave, but the job protection comes from FMLA itself. Think of FMLA as a safety net. It doesn't guarantee a paycheck, but it guarantees your job, and benefits will still be there when you return. Without it, workers facing health or family emergencies could be forced to choose between caring for themselves and keeping their jobs. Who qualifies for FMLA leave? Not every worker in the U.S. is automatically covered by FMLA. The law sets out specific eligibility requirements, both for the employer and for the employee. Let's break it down step by step. 1. Employer size matters. FMLA only applies to private employers with 50 or more employees within a 75-mile radius. This means if you work for a small local business with 10 employees, FMLA protections likely don't apply. However, all public agencies, federal, state, and local governments, as well as public and private elementary and secondary schools, are covered no matter their size. 2. Length of employment. You must have worked for your employer for at least 12 months. The 12 months don't have to be consecutive. For example, if you worked for 8 months, left, then came back and worked another 4 months, you may still qualify. 3 hours worked. You need to have worked at least 1,250 hours in the 12 months before your leave begins. That averages to about 24 hours per week over a year. Part-time employees may qualify if they meet this threshold. 4. Location. If your employer has multiple work sites, your eligibility depends on whether at least 50 employees work within 75 miles of your location. For example, if you're in a remote office with only 20 people and the nearest big office is 100 miles away, FMLA may not apply. Example: let's say Maria works for a large retail chain. She's been there for 18 months, averaging 35 hours per week. Her store has 60 employees. When her mother is diagnosed with cancer, Maria wants time off to help with treatment. Under FMLA, she qualifies. Her employer is large enough, she's worked long enough, and she's logged the required hours. She can take up to 12 weeks of unpaid leave, and her job must be there when she comes back. Now, compare that with John, who works at a small family-owned diner with 12 employees. Even though John has worked full-time for 3 years, his employer is too small to fall under FMLA. That doesn't mean John has no options. State laws or employer policies might give him some rights, but federal FMLA protections don't apply. The takeaway: to qualify for FMLA, you must check both the employer coverage and your own work history. If you meet all three, 50 employees within 75 miles, 12 months of employment, and 1,250 hours, you're covered. If not, you'll need to see whether state laws offer broader protections. How FMLA leave works. Once you know you qualify, the next step is understanding how FMLA leave actually works in practice. The law is detailed, but the core protections are straightforward. You can take up to 12 weeks of unpaid leave in a 12-month period. Your job is protected and your health insurance continues. 1. How much leave can you take? Eligible employees can take up to 12 work weeks of unpaid leave in a 12-month period. For certain military caregiver situations, this expands to 26 weeks. Employers can define the 12-month period in different ways: calendar year, fiscal year, or rolling 12 months from when you last took leave, but they must apply it consistently. 2. Job protection. When you return, your employer must give you back your same job or a job that is substantially equivalent, meaning equal pay, benefits, and working conditions. They cannot punish you for taking FMLA leave, and they cannot use it as a negative factor in promotions, evaluations, or discipline. Courts have consistently held that retaliating against someone for using FMLA is illegal. 3rd, health insurance continuation. During your FMLA leave, your employer must maintain your group health insurance on the same terms as if you were actively working. That means if you pay part of your premiums, you still need to pay your share. But coverage cannot be dropped. If you lose coverage, your employer may be in violation of the law. 4. Paid leave substitution. FMLA itself is unpaid, but employers can require, or employees can choose, to use accrued paid time off, such as sick days or vacation, to cover part of the leave. This helps reduce the financial burden. For example, if you have 2 weeks of paid vacation, you could use those first and then continue the rest of your FMLA leave unpaid. 5. Intermittent leave. Not all FMLA leave has to be taken in one block. You can take it intermittently or on a reduced schedule when medically necessary. For instance, if you need chemotherapy every Thursday, you can take 1 day off per week under FMLA instead of a full 12 weeks at once. Employers may require medical certification to support intermittent leave, but they cannot deny it if the medical need is real. 6. Notice and certification. Employees must give 30 days notice for foreseeable leave, like childbirth or scheduled surgery. If the need is sudden, notice should be given as soon as possible. Employers can also require medical certification from a healthcare provider to confirm the need for leave, but they cannot demand excessive or irrelevant information. Example: Sarah, a marketing manager, needs knee surgery and will be out for 6 weeks. She gives her employer advance notice and provides a doctor's certification. Her employer must approve the FMLA leave maintain her health insurance, and return her to the same or equivalent position when she's back. Limitations, common misunderstandings, and state law differences. The FMLA is a powerful tool, but it comes with limits and common misunderstandings that often confuse workers. Knowing these can save you headaches and help you plan better. 1. FMLA is unpaid. The biggest misconception is that FMLA guarantees paid leave. It doesn't. Unless your employer has its own paid leave policy, or you live in a state with paid family or medical leave laws, your 12 weeks will be unpaid. You can sometimes combine FMLA with vacation, sick time, or PTO. But the law itself does not require pay. 2. Not every health issue qualifies. Another common misunderstanding. FMLA doesn't cover minor illnesses like colds, short-term flu, or routine doctor's appointments, unless they are part of ongoing treatment for a serious health condition. To qualify, your condition usually must involve inpatient care, multiple treatments, or chronic conditions requiring regular care, like asthma, cancer, or diabetes. 3rd, employer coverage is limited. Remember, private employers with fewer than 50 employees within a 75-mile radius are not required to provide FMLA. Many small business employees are surprised to learn they're not covered. Public agencies and schools are the exception. They're always covered, regardless of size. 4. Retaliation protections. Your employer cannot fire, demote, or discipline you for using FMLA leave. However, if your position would have been eliminated for unrelated reasons, say a company-wide layoff, that can still affect you. The key is whether the adverse action was connected to your FMLA leave. 5. State family and medical leave laws. Many states have stepped in to go beyond federal FMLA. For example, California, CFRA, provides job-protected leave similar to FMLA, but covers smaller employers and allows more family members as care recipients. New York Paid Family Leave Act provides up to 12 weeks of partially paid leave to bond with a new child, care for a family member, or handle military needs. Washington State, Massachusetts, and New Jersey offer paid family and medical leave programs funded through payroll contributions, giving employees wage replacement during time off. If you live in these states, you may qualify for both federal FMLA job protection and state paid leave benefits, which means you can take leave without losing your job and still receive partial pay. Example, David works for a company with 300 employees in California. His father becomes seriously ill, and David needs time off. Under FMLA, he qualifies for 12 weeks of unpaid job-protected leave, but California's CFRA also applies, and the state's paid family leave program will provide wage replacement during his time off. This means David keeps his job and receives some income support. The takeaway, FMLA is a baseline federal right, but depending on your state, you may have stronger protections and even paid benefits. Always check both federal and state rules. So, what is the Family and Medical Leave Act, FMLA? It's a federal law that gives eligible employees up to 12 weeks of unpaid, job-protected leave each year for specific family and medical reasons while keeping their health insurance intact. To qualify, you generally need to work for a covered employer, have at least 12 months of service, and log 1,250 hours in the past year. FMLA doesn't guarantee pay, but it protects your job, and in some states you may also get paid benefits through state programs. The key is to know your eligibility, give proper notice, and use your rights with confidence. If this video helped you understand FMLA, hit like, share it, and subscribe for more plain English guides to workplace law.